In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced hikers walked into the Ural Mountains. None of them came back alive. When searchers finally reached their camp, they found the tent slashed open from the inside. And the hikers had fled into a freezing blizzard, barefoot into the dark. Some were found with shattered bones and no wounds on their skin. Their clothes carried traces of radiation. And to this day, no one truly knows what killed them. Welcome to Curio Hour, where we uncover the strange, the unsolved, and the unforgettable. Today's story: the Dyatlov Pass incident. In January of 1959, a group of 10 young hikers set out from the city of Sverdlovsk in the Soviet Union. Most were students or graduates of the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They were led by a 23-year-old named Igor Dyatlov. All of them were seasoned, capable mountaineers. Their goal was an expedition through the northern Urals in the dead of winter to a mountain called Odortin. It was a difficult, dangerous route, the highest level of certification in the Soviet system. But these were exactly the kind of people who could handle it. Early in the trek, one member fell ill and turned back. It would save his life. The remaining 9 pressed on into the wilderness. What we know of their final days comes from one haunting source: their own diaries and their own cameras. The photographs show a group in good spirits, smiling, joking, building their camp in the snow. Ordinary moments with no hint of what was coming. On the 1st of February, they began to climb a slope on the eastern shoulder of a peak the local Mansi people called Kalatsiek. The name, translated, means dead mountain. As a storm closed in and visibility dropped, the group pitched their tent on the open, exposed slope, rather than descending to the shelter of the forest below. It was the last decision they would record. The final photograph on their cameras was taken as they dug into the snow that evening. When the group failed to return as planned, a search was launched. And weeks later, on the 26th of February, rescuers found the tent. It was half buried and empty, but it was the state of the tent that stopped the searchers cold. The canvas had been cut open, not from the outside, but from within. Someone or several people had sliced their way out of the tent in a hurry. Inside, everything was still there. Their boots, their coats, their food, everything a person would need to survive a night in the mountains. And yet the 9 hikers had run out into a blizzard, in temperatures around 25 degrees below zero, many of them barefoot or in just their socks. Whatever had happened inside that tent, it had been terrifying enough that 9 experienced survivalists chose the freezing dark over staying one more second inside. The searchers followed a trail of footprints down the slope toward the tree line nearly a mile away. The prints were calm and evenly spaced. The hikers had not been running blindly. They had walked deliberately away from their only shelter. And then the footprints vanished, swallowed by the snow. At the edge of the forest, beneath a tall cedar tree, the searchers made their first discovery: the remains of a small fire, and the bodies of 2 of the hikers lying in the snow, dressed only in their underwear. Branches on the cedar were broken as high as 15 feet up, as though someone had desperately climbed it, perhaps to look back at the slope or to escape something below. Between the tree and the empty tent, 3 more bodies were found, including the leader, Igor Dyatlov. They appeared to have died trying to crawl back toward the camp. 5 of the 9 were now accounted for. But the strangest discoveries were still to come. The final 4 hikers were not found for another 2 months. They lay in a ravine deep beneath the snow in the forest. And unlike the others, these 4 were better dressed. Some wearing clothing that had eerily been taken from the bodies of those who died first. It suggested that those who survived longest had tried desperately to stay alive, even after their friends were gone. But it was the condition of these last 4 bodies that turned a tragedy into an enduring mystery. 3 of them had suffered massive internal injuries. 1 had a fractured skull. 2 had severe chest fractures, with ribs broken so violently it was compared to the force of a car crash. And yet, on the surface, there was almost no sign of impact. No deep wounds. No bruising you would expect. The damage was all on the inside. One of the women was missing her tongue, her eyes, and part of her lips. Damage that some attributed to the elements and time, and others to something far stranger. What could break a human body so completely, without leaving a mark on the skin? The investigators of 1959 had no answer. Their official conclusion was as baffling as the case itself. The hikers, they wrote, had died as the result of a compelling natural force, which the men had been unable to overcome. A compelling, unknown force. And then the case was quietly closed and the files locked away. But the strangeness did not end there. When the hikers' clothing was tested, some of it was found to carry higher than normal levels of radiation. The discovery fed decades of speculation. Secret weapons tests, military experiments, things the Soviet state would never admit to. Over the years, the theories have multiplied, each one trying to explain the unexplainable. Some blamed an avalanche that crushed the tent and sent the hikers fleeing for their lives. Others pointed to infrasound, a low, inaudible hum created by the wind over the slopes, said to cause panic, dread, and terror in those who hear it. There were wilder ideas, too. Military tests, secret weapons, even for some, the paranormal. In 2021, scientists used modern modeling to argue that a rare kind of slab avalanche could explain both the flight from the tent and the crushing injuries. It is the most credible explanation yet, but it does not satisfy everyone. The missing eyes, the radiation, the sheer terror that drove them out. The questions linger. Today, the place is no longer just a slope on a map. It carries the name of the man who led them there. Dyatlov Pass. 9 people walked up Dead Mountain, prepared for anything the wilderness could throw at them. And something on that black and frozen night frightened them so badly that they ran from safety into the one thing they could not survive. The cold. More than 60 years later, the mountain has never explained itself. And the truth of what happened that night remains buried somewhere beneath the snow.